Customer service, done right, can be your company's single biggest competitive advantage. Welcome to the Customer Service Revolution. Join customer service authority and best-selling author John DiJulius as he interviews leaders who are revolutionizing their industries. This is more than a podcast, though. It's a movement. The Customer Service Revolution is a radical overthrow of conventional business mentality designed to transform what customers and employees experience. If you're a revolutionary customer service leader who's ready to stop competing on price and obsessed with building a brand that people cannot live without, this podcast is for you. Hi, listeners. Welcome to part 2 of From Struggles to Success, John's Journey. If you haven't already listened to part 1, episode 213, we recommend you start there. This episode picks up where John realizes there's no way he's going to graduate from college.
Okay. So when the year is up of my suspension, so I like to say I was one of the first people to take a gap year. It was forced, but a gap year. So I go back and apply, and Cleveland State lets me in, but financial aid drops me because I wasted their money. They paid for a full 16 credit, and they paid it, and I never took a full 6 for 4 quarters in a row, because I had 3 quarters and then the freshman the next year. So now I have to pay, and this sucks. But it made me a little bit appreciate that. All right, I don't want to take these classes and drop them, right? Because that came out of my money. I don't get the money back when I drop it. But here's the thing. Here's what I remember. Thinking to myself, why am I wasting my time in college? I know for certain, 100% certainty, I'm not graduating from college. I don't go to class still. I hate it. I can't sit still. Why am I doing this? And why am I working my ass off to pay for tuition? Thank God tuition back then was like $900 a quarter. We were on quarters. And here's what came to me. Why? It was for marketability to the opposite sex. This is honest to God what I realized. I'm out. And so the year I was kicked out of school, it's happened to me. I'm out at bars, Rascal House, Cosmo, all the bars back in our day. And I meet a girl, and she says, "What do you do?" I'm pumping gas. I work at a gas station. I work in a grocery store. I work at Chess King. Do you remember Chess King?
Yes.
I worked at Chess King at the mall, men's clothing store.
It was well dressed.
Yes. And you could see, okay, and they'd walk away. But now when you're in school, what do? Oh, I'm at Cleveland State working on a business degree. And what you do on the side may not even come up. But if it does, it's actually impressive that you're pumping gas or working at a clothing store while you're getting your degree. And that is, it sounds so shallow. That is 100% why I just wanted to buy more time to be marketable in bars. I don't know what that says about me, but that was 100% true. So here's what changed my life. Before I go to that, you asked me a question. I said, good point. I want to circle back to that.
Entrepreneurship?
Oh, yeah. Don't let me forget that. That's going to come at the end. So still coaching, managing my summer league teams and playing on it. And that's all I cared about. I quit jobs. I'd get fired from jobs. I got fired from Chess King because they put me on Saturday night. And I said, I don't work weekends. I play in baseball tournaments. And they said, we have nobody. And we told you have to work this Saturday in July. And if you don't work, you're going to be fired. I'm like, okay. Well, when it came, I didn't leave the tournament. So I lost jobs. I got fired from jobs only because baseball would always take precedent. Okay. So I'm still obsessed with baseball. Don't think it's a future for me. But here's where my life changed. I'm just floating along, struggling. Every other quarter, I'm on the academic probation. And I can't remember. I think it was if 2 quarters in a row you got under a 2.0, you got kicked out again. All right. So I'd always get 1.8, and then the next quarter I do just enough to get 2.0. Get off academic probation. The next quarter, 1 point something, I'm back on academic. So that was kind of like my thing here for 2-3 years, which is really 3-4 years, right? When I came back from being kicked out. And I know this gig's going to be up, anytime now I'm going to get a, 2 quarters in a row under a 2.0 and I'm done. And you're done for good. And Cleveland State's not a good school. It's not like, it's not a hard school. This is what changed my life. I get a job. I'm making $5 an hour, which is right around minimum wage, in all my jobs, landscaping in the summer, doing construction in the summer, playing baseball at night, yada, 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 but not making anything, just enough to pay my tuition, which is a wasted investment, and maybe enough to, have some beer money to go out with my buddies and to play baseball. I get this job at UPS. Changed my life. UPS, back then, I got a job to work 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. in the middle of the night. I didn't want that, but it paid $13 an hour. Overtime and health benefits. And so there's so many things that come from this. So now I get this great paying job, back-breaking job, but I love that. I'm 21, 22. I love the physicality of a job. You were married to a UPS driver. That's how I met you. I don't know if you ever heard this quote. Someone said, I've never seen a skinny beer driver and a fat UPS driver. And it's so true, right? But anyway, got this back-breaking job, but the next fall, it was my 4th year. I know this because of eligibility. The 4th year, just for kicks, just to say I did it, I walk on to Cleveland State. Never played after 8th grade, scholastically, not in St. Joe's, and not my first 3 years at Cleveland State. Couldn't even consider trying out, and I wouldn't have made it, but couldn't consider trying out because I have to work every day after school. Okay. Every college athlete that I know that my sons are, they don't work. It's a full-time job, 12 months a year. But now I'm working 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. That's not why I just do it because I'm available after school. And in the fall, I hear that there's, they're holding walk-ons. It's my bucket list. So I walk on. And I always say this, God blessed me with 2 things, the ability to talk and an arm. I don't know why. For a little guy, I had a rocket, a really hard throwing arm. I was a pitcher, but not in high school or college level. I wouldn't be a pitcher because I was way too short, and pitchers are always like 6'2" and taller.
Did you play short? Would you play?
Yeah, short. And I had a rocket.
I didn't mean that as a pun.
Yeah, right. So tryouts, they had you run and they had you throw. And I'm not as quick as I should be for being a little guy, but I had the best arm there of the people walking on. And the coach just he couldn't believe it. And they think they could teach you anything else. That's a major league tryouts or professional tryouts. They have you run, they have you throw, and then they start cutting you. And they don't even see if you could hit or do anything else. So I made it. I make the team. And it was just a joke. It was just, I wanted to be able to say I did. And so this is the fall. We don't start the actual baseball season until spring. So I go see the athletic director or someone because I knew I wasn't eligible. My GPA is 1.8, right? And you have to have a 2.0, Proposition 48. I didn't want my coach to find out about this because he wouldn't have taken me. So I go see someone in the athletic department, and I give them my name and whatever you give them back then, social security number, and they say, oh, you're ineligible. I go, I know. I go, but the quarter we're in, he goes, that's all you got, to become eligible. What do I need? A 3.3. This quarter, now thank God I didn't have that much schooling. So this is my 4th year, and I might be done with my freshman year of even though it's my 4th year, I might have enough. But had I had 3 years done, I wouldn't be able to move my GPA like that. So he figures it out. He says you'd have to get a 3.3. Mind you, I've never probably gotten over a 2.1. I guarantee you 2.1 was the highest I've ever got. I got to get a 3.3 to get my overall GPA up to a 2.0 to be eligible to play. The second thing was in Division I baseball. Division I sports. The moment you step on any college campus for school, the clock starts ticking. You have 5 years to compete in 4. So whoever can go to school, not play a sport, the clock's, and if you drop out of school, get kicked out of school, take 3 years off again, that clock doesn't stop ticking. So it's my 4th year I only have 2 years of eligibility because I wasted the first 3 years. So I beg whoever I was speaking to not to tell my head coach. My head coach thought I was a freshman. If he would have known I only had 2 years of eligibility and I was ineligible currently, he wouldn't. I begged him, and I didn't think this person would listen to me, but he didn't tell him. So I got a 3.3. Isn't that funny?
How did you do that?
Oh my God. So I just remember sociology. I went up and told every teacher, and I worked but I got an A in sociology, and the teacher was so nice. I don't know if I deserved it, but she really liked me. Like, she liked me. She, thought I was nice, and she knew I was trying hard. And I remember the class. I remember all these things. I don't know what other classes I took. I know, I'm in, a business major. So I know, some of them, I had to, at least get a B in them. I was eligible. I couldn't believe it. So here's another thing.
And you're still working
in the middle of the night. If I didn't have the UPS job, I wouldn't be able to play baseball. So the thing with the other thing, remember, I start every quarter. And I was still doing this after I came back. Start every quarter with 4 classes full time. Drop the classes I'm getting an F in, and finish with what a season D. So I, hopefully don't get kicked out again. Well, now I'm playing for Cleveland State. You have to be a full-time student. You can't drop under 16 credits per quarter or you'll be ineligible. So besides I need to have at least a 2.0, which is such a low bar, I can't drop to, less than 16 credits. So now I'm taking 4 classes. I got to get at least a C in all of them. I played baseball, which, I was the Rudy on the team. I was the weakest person. These kids were all real Division I athletes recruited to the team scholarship. They were good. Several kids on my Cleveland State that I played with played minor league baseball, and several that we played against played minor league baseball and some played in the pros.
Could you hit?
Did I hit?
Could you hit?
I was more of my defense in college. They threw hard. They threw upper 80s, lower 90s. So, and having not played at a good level in 7 years, my summer ball didn't, have that type of competition. But I had I had a decent glove. That's all. But anyway, now I'm done with baseball, and I just thought I was going to college to play baseball. Now, first it was stay in college to be more marketable to girls. Maybe my thing was that maybe I'll meet a girl, she'll fall in love with me. So when I finally get kicked out of school, which I thought was inevitable, it'd be too late. And but that didn't work out. I didn't really meet anyone. So, all right, let me stretch this thing out and play baseball for 2 years. And then I know I'm done. Now I'm done with 5 years of school, including the year they kicked me out. And because it forced me that I had to get over a 2.0 and had to take full-time credits, now I finished, and I'm mature. I'm older now. God, I'm 22, 23. I had a woman teacher in Cleveland State, I forget what subject, that graduated the same year I did in high school. And she was my teacher. All right, so anyway, now I am done with baseball. 5 years have gone by, and I'm almost a junior academically. I am just a couple credits short of finishing my sophomore year academically. 5 years, I don't even get 2 years done. But because I took full-time classes, got my GPA, padded at a 2.1 or 2.2, I'm like, I could graduate. And then I became obsessed with school. So in two years, my 6th and 7th year of college, I got more than 2.5 academically because I wasn't fully a junior yet. And this was the other thing. All my classes now would be accounting 2, statistics 2, economics, and something else really hard. I didn't have electives. I had taken all the electives and did really shit. You're supposed to take 2 hard classes with 2, and I don't have that luxury. So now I became obsessed and didn't go out, and I got competitive because now I was in business courses marketing. That was ended up being my major. And I used to think, I'm smarter than anyone in this room. And that got like my ego, and like I wanted to demonstrate that. But I was OCD. Now I was home on Fridays and Saturdays trying to pass my 4 hard business courses. And now in a year, it took me 7 years to graduate from Cleveland State.
But you did it. In the end, you did graduate.
I did graduate. Yeah, but it was all those funny stories along the way. UPS changed my life. So now I want to go back to UPS. It's this great paying job, $12, $13, $14 an hour, union, health benefits, vacations, all this stuff. And it allowed me to focus more on school. I wasn't going to ever give up baseball, so I'm still playing baseball at night. So I have enough seniority at UPS when I graduate from college to go driving or take my marketing degree. And I dipped my toe in the water and interviewed at some businesses. My marketing degree back in 1989 got me offers between $18,000 and $22,000 a year, or fully commission insurance type of jobs. Or I had enough seniority to go driving at UPS that paid $45,000, double. So I looked this up on ChatGPT last night. To tell you what UPS drivers make today, the average makes $150,000. Okay. I think that's good money. All I know is $45,000 a year to me in 1989, 90 was $1 billion, right? I'm coming a kid from welfare, coming from all these things. And so in college, now I'm getting into my courses, I lose sleep at night every night over, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to own my own company. I don't know what. And I'd call my friend Joe Panito every night and talk to him and say, Joe, I'm so nervous. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to work for someone. I want to own my own business. I would drive him crazy.
What flipped that switch? Like, when
know.
did you decide
The only experience I had was this managing a baseball team, which was intense, and logistics and recruiting and being better than everyone else and all this. But it was just the mind. Like I would just look at everything in class and things and question and like why. And I'd go to restaurants with whoever and question why. So I just had that contrarian mindset. And so I just started losing sleep at night. What am I going to do? Like, there's nothing I like enough other than wanting to own a business. So I realized, I know I'm going to open a sporting goods store, because that was the only thing I could find 2 + 2. Owning something in sports. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. But I'm deep in hole. By this time, I'm taking care of my mom full time. She got sick and her health was bad. And around 21, 22, she became my full-time dependent. Okay. And, I'm living at the house I grew up in, but I'm paying for it. I think it's in my name. It is in my name now, and my mom can't work. So I'm taking care of her. So we have bills and we're poor, other than my $12 an hour job at UPS part-time in the middle of the nights. So I graduate in 89 and I can go get a marketing degree. Use my marketing degree for $20,000, or I could get a job at driving UPS at 45. I take the UPS job because, and so my plan was I'm going to work there for 5 years, get out of debt, put money away, and then be able to open my sporting goods store. And that was my plan. And so that's almost what happened. The money was great. So I just want to go back to, there's some point at UPS when I'm loading trucks that I realized my life changed forever, as long as I didn't screw up the job. I realized that the worst I was going to do in life was a UPS driver, $45,000 a year, which was more money than I ever thought I could make, which is great. And it was the first time in my life I realized I wasn't going to be poor, that UPS would give me, if I get a better job than UPS driving at $45,000 a year, great, I'll take that. But my fallback was driving a truck for UPS for $45,000 a year, which again was $1 billion to me. And so that UPS changed my life in so many ways. Going to work every middle of the night at 3:30, discipline, hard work. I needed the job more than they needed me. I wasn't going to screw that up. And I just knew my future was going to be decent. And that was the first time in my life that UPS, I realized I'm not going to be a poor kid. So We have from the UPS driver to whatever podcast that really takes it on after that. That I meet my wife, and instead of opening a sporting goods store, we open up a hair salon, right? But circle back to something you asked me. In the early days, and still it happens occasionally, but in the early days, in the 90s and maybe early 2000s, the success of John Roberts Spa, we're winning every award possible. You remember we're going to, events, black tie events, it seemed like every week, winning some award. And I started figuring out when we'd win the award, because an editor or writer would call me from that magazine and say, hey, you're a finalist for top whatever, entrepreneur of the year, right? And I'd say, okay. They say, in case you win, we need to have an article ready. So they interview me, and they spend, 45 minutes to an hour interviewing me. And then we win. And then the same thing happens for the Pillar Award for community service. And the same thing happens. And I realized no one's going to spend an hour of their time if you're not a winner. And it worked out every time. So I know. That's why when we won the Entrepreneur of the Year award, Ernst & Young, I knew to buy a table, right? I didn't think we'd win. But then when they interviewed me and spent an hour of interviewing me, I'm like, oh, we're buying a table. And you remember that? We got a limo. That was a big night for all of us.
That was great.
Yeah. And it really put the salon. But here's the thing. One of the inks, Small Business magazine, huge, calls me up. Or we applied. Call me up and say, you're a finalist. And I think 100 people won. And it was a most prestigious thing. We would have won. Small business, fastest growing small business, something. It was very prestigious. He says, all right, in case you win, I need to interview you. I just have to have that. I'm like, yeah, okay. You're gonna interview 200 people, right? 100 people is gonna. And I'm sure there were several writers that were working at it. He wasn't interviewing all 100. So tell him my whole story of how we built John Roberts and the vision and the story and our obsession with customer. And he loves it. He can't write fast enough. And I'm a good interview, right? One last question for you, says, yes. He goes, what did you do before you opened your business that was the most valuable thing for why you're a successful entrepreneur today? I said, oh, that's easy. He goes, good, tell me. That's all I need. Then we're done. I said, I managed a baseball team. He goes, what? I go, yeah. And I tell him this. I said, I had this phenomenal backer sponsor that gave us almost an unlimited budget, but I had to work with him. I had to recruit guys my age, older in a lot of cases, to play on this team, and had to lead that. I'm telling him all. And he goes, no. You're misunderstanding the question. He goes, everyone else, they worked at a Fortune 500 company. They worked in corporate America. They did it, and that helped them. I said, I didn't. And my UPS driving wasn't, what he was looking for, but that was the only job I had. I said, no, you're not understanding me. And I go back and tell him the whole thing about recruiting and how good we were and how I had to, sit players that were older than me and the dynamics. But all that is the same things I use in the salon business, right? Which backfired because I found out the hairdressers don't like the competitive side of it. You went through that. And I give it to him again. And he goes, are you sure you want that to be your answer? I said, yeah. Like, I was proud of it. I thought he thought maybe I was going to be embarrassed that I was put in print. We didn't win. And I know for a fact it was because he didn't like that answer. But that was my answer. I mean, I took that, and that was the first thing, managing a team. It was an obsession, 24/7, talked about it, called up my friends, Hooper and all these people. And we would talk on the phone for hours about the lineup and about who we're playing and this. I mean, it was an obsession, but it was the first thing from 18 on that I put everything I had into it, and it was successful. It was the first thing that gave me confidence that we do things, that I could do things. And it sounds silly, but it was like, and it was the same stuff that, carried over. So,
Was that what gave you the confidence then to walk on at CSU?
Walk on at CSU wasn't about confidence. That was like someone, and you can't compare the two, that goes to Ohio State, that played football at Lake Catholic, and just for kicks wants to say he walked down Ohio State and knows he has no.
You really didn't think you had a shot?
No.
at all? No?
Denise, I hadn't played in 7 years.
Well, not scholastically, but you
Not
were still.
but it wasn't competitive. I mean, these guys at
So
Division
then
One,
you did that. I mean, that had to be another boost, though,
it blew my mind,
you know.
but I
Yeah.
shit my pants.
And then you get the 3.3.
Yeah,
You have to
to
feel
qualify.
invincible at this point.
I'm more scared because I know I don't belong. I know I don't belong. These guys are big, good, top of their high schools, and I didn't belong, and it was obvious at first, but I eventually worked my ass off. And one of my top accomplishments was towards the end of the first season, my coach started putting me in as a defensive replacement, which 3 months ago, my coach regretted taking me on the team because he realized the small sample size of what he saw in the tryout, the walk on, that I had a rocket arm. I was so far behind those guys. Like I just didn't have the baseball skill set that they had because of my time off and all that. And I'm still, not their size. I'm not, these are really good athletes. But I worked my ass off. I became decent enough. But I'll tell you another funny story that our listeners may or may not like. I was so paranoid I was starting a game and I was so paranoid to not play because I thought, I'll be replaced and I'll probably be let go or I won't be asked back for the following year. Have the flu all day coming out of both ends. But I got to play tonight. So luckily, throwing up stopped. Had body aches, but the other part didn't stop. And I'm not going to give someone an opportunity to take my spot, or I was so paranoid, and rightfully so, that at any time I could be cut. So I drive to the drugstore and buy a box of Depends and played that night in Depends and actually played good, got a hit, got a couple hits, which is good for me. And I'm on first base leading off. And the first baseman looks over at me and goes, "Do you got gas?" I go, "Yeah, really bad, really bad." That's a true story.
There'll be debate later on whether to edit this part out.
Yes, yes. So that's my childhood.
Wow.
I want to circle back to something else. We started, as you know, and maybe some of our listeners know, the third business we started is Believe in Dreams, which is a dream for economically disadvantaged kids in Northeast Ohio that really face some horrible hardship. My hardship does not compare to theirs, right? Not in the same, but that's why. That's what motivated me to start Believe in Dreams, is because, yeah, my circumstances changed drastically when I was in first grade. Father left, never saw us again, poor, welfare, all those things. But I had an amazing mother who unfortunately died too young, but I didn't know we were poor. Didn't know we were on food stamps. And I had 5 older brothers and sisters that just showered me with attention, took care of me, which sucks to have your 7-year-old brother hanging around you when you're 13, 15, and you're going to McDonald's and trying to meet and all that. But they did it. Or they coached me in Little League, or they took me to Cleveland Indians games. And so that was, I realized how lucky I was and how little I knew how bad our circumstances was. That's what motivated me to, open Believe in Dreams, because I know these kids may not have that support system of anyone in their life, brothers and sisters and all that. So that is a long story of why we started Believe in Dreams.
Thank you for finding a way to give back like that, recognizing it in others.
And again, it's more of a tribute to my mom and to my 5 brothers and sisters who, like I said, had to take care of this little tag along in a time where I'm sure that's the last thing they wanted. Right? Why are you bringing your little brother to a party? And they've all worked with us. Every one of them have worked or still do in my businesses.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's quite a story, John DiJulius.
Yeah. I think so. I was lucky. Lucky.
What percentage luck to hard work? What do you think? Because you put in a lot of hard work. I mean, I think your competitiveness probably drove a lot of it.
Yeah, that definitely helped when I had the confidence. But I think I'm lucky. It feels like 90% luck. I don't know. And I on one of my TikTok, whatever you call that, where I'm watching, I like to watch TikTok at night. And I have no problem saying it because my algorithm is awesome. It's motivational, mentors, inspiration, learning more about things I need to learn about, family, parenting, all those things. But someone was talking about maybe the victim mentality versus not having the victim mentality. And they said that a great indicator of how someone thinks about themselves is you ask them how lucky they are. And, victims will say, oh, I'm the luck. If I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Right. I am so lucky. I think I was lucky that my dad left. What if he would have stayed? And that would have been my role model of how to be a dad, husband. I mean, he was cheating on my mom for years. I find out later. Wouldn't come home for weeks. Whatever. Like people are like, oh, that's so sad. No, it's not. What if that would have been my dad? That I got to grow up. I'm lucky because I was the youngest of 6 kids and didn't know what life was supposed to be like. I didn't go from knowing what a middle-class lifestyle was to a poor. I just was. Like, I think I'm so lucky I had the mom I had. I'm so lucky I had the 5 brothers and sisters I had. I think it's more than 90% luck.
Good answer.
All right. Maybe you should put the links to the podcast from UPS driver to Customer Experience Authority on here, so they
Absolutely.
can finish these.
We'll add the links for the UPS driver podcast episode. So in case listeners, you missed that one, you can listen to that and pick up from here to hear the rest of John's story.
Thanks, Denise. You probably knew most of this.
Thank
Any
you
surprises?
Yeah, I think there are some, for sure, for me even.
I was lucky to get the UPS job. I'm telling you, that changed my life. I often think about where I would be if I didn't get that. I don't think I would have finished college. I know I wouldn't have. And I would be, doing something I hate.
Isn't it something? And it's, who would think a job at 3 a.m. and
And that had something to do with it, but it was just outstanding pay and a hard job that had opportunities for advancement that I was able to take advantage of, do it for 5 years and open my business. So it's funny that my plan was exactly right. It just wasn't the business I thought I'd be opening.
Do you ever think about going back to sports, retirement one day?
So as you know, I still play hardball. I've played hardball for 54 years in a row. And since I was 6, I have not stopped playing hardball.
Really?
It is so much fun.
You never missed a year. Wow.
I did. Surgeries, shoulders replaced. I had my left shoulder replaced 2 years ago, so I missed last year. And then I have to have this one, my right one replaced, and pushing that back to the fall so I could finish the season. I've had injuries that at my later years have cost me, a season or a half a season, but I love it.
Do you still manage your team?
No. God, no, I haven't done that in 30 some years. To your question, I do think sometimes, I'd like to coach high school. I know I'll never stop working. So I know that my traveling will always be a difficulty with that, but I would love to coach high school baseball. I don't know if I'd like to coach it in one of the cities like Aurora, Solon, Bainbridge, where, and try to give back. I hear a lot of times they just go grab the math teacher and make him coach hardball, and he doesn't know baseball, but they needed a coach.
Who coaches on the Niners?
I don't know. They have a summer ball league. I'm not sure.
I would think you'd be a shoo-in.
Yeah, but my schedule may never allow. And I'm okay with that because I'm not.
We're just putting it out there in the universe, though.
I have 30 more years of this.
We hope so.
No hope.
Customer service is an important topic, and companies need you.
All right. Well, thanks, Denise, for being my therapist today.
Thanks for sharing, John. Listeners, we'll catch you on the next episode of the Customer Service Revolution.
If you enjoy what you're learning on the Customer Service Revolution podcast, you'll love our weekly newsletter, The E-Service. It's full of great customer experience tips and stories, includes special offers, webinars, and more each week. To sign up, head to tdg.click/eService. That's tdg.click/eService, ESERVICE. Enter your preferred email address, and you can look forward to great advice from John in your inbox every Wednesday.